Before we begin this episode, I actually have to mention that something went wrong with continuity camera on my end, and because of that, my audio got a little messed up. You could still hear me perfectly, but there's this annoying buzzing that appears rather frequently. My apologies for what happened. I think it's something to do with internet interference, but that's my only guess. But yeah, my apologies for that issue, and I'll see about getting it resolved next episode. All right, enjoy the show.
If I were a shareholder, I would not be happy about this.
Because Apple's just being misleading.
Good for nothing.
Good for nothing.
Oh my God.
It's not good for nothing. It's good for something.
Yeah, guess what? SolidWorks decided, nope, we're not going to function because guess what was pending again?
Updates. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the iTunes Fanboy Podcast. In this episode, I am Teddy Maggart from the iTunes Fanboy, joined by...
My name is Alpha DeWolf.
And in this episode, we are going to... And unfortunately, TabbyCat406 is not here with us.
Hey, I'm editing this. You know I do a good job with the editing to the point where everything takes forever to get out. Whew.
Yeah. We don't even have episode... the season 3 premiere out yet, and we're already recording the second episode. But it'll be out as of tomorrow when we're recording this.
Yeah, I did not expect last week to get as busy as it did. We may talk about this towards the end of the podcast, but something really big happened last week to the point where I seriously had to delay the podcast.
Well...
And it's not WWDC. But...
Alright, well, let's go...
Speaking of which...
Ready to go to the first topic?
Sure thing.
Alright, so unfortunately this is where Tabby would really come in handy since he's tested out the beta for this, but what do you think of iOS 17?
Honestly, I haven't even watched the whole keynote. So, I actually don't know much about what was announced.
iOS 17 in general is just a pretty boring was a sort of boring update. It's kind of like an iOS 7 update in a sense, because it didn't really bring a whole lot of new features, but it did bring a lot of UI changes.
Yeah, I'm hearing it did stuff like that. I just hope that it's more stable.
Yeah, alright, but there's a few things that have come out in iOS 17 there's one feature in iOS 17 that really concerns me.
I'm trying to think, which one would it be? Dang, it would have helped if I watched the event, but I was so busy!
Alright, so remember that thing in August 2021 that Apple announced they're going to do with iPhone, add into their software?
August 2021.
It was announced by a press release. And it's bad.
It's not that CSAM stuff, is it?
Yep! It's coming to iOS 17. Should not have said that in a happy tone because... Yep, it will... So the idea behind this is that it will detect child porn images. And However, tech is just not there yet to detect that kind of stuff. And even so, it's going to supposedly... they didn't say full on that it was going to flag stuff to the police, but it was going to at least detect... But with communication safety, as they're calling it, it's going to basically try to detect that naughty stuff and to try to warn you ahead of time. Like, for example, on my Apple ID, if and my iPhone thought I was being sent a nude image, then it would pop up with a warning, and then it would probably tell my mom. Not very privacy focused, Apple. And if
not at all. If I were a shareholder, I would not be happy about this.
Because Apple's just being misleading.
That in itself right there is not privacy focused at all. So
because
that is a
tech,
huge
I know AI is
Apple.
a thing, but like the tech is not there to detect the naughty stuff. Like, hang on, let me look mine out.
A few minutes later.
It's still disturbing, like. And Apple basically fixed the issue of where people were getting sent bad stuff through AirDrop with where you can't turn on AirDrop for everybody anymore. Like, it's not only everybody for 10 minutes, which again,
I thought they
is kind of a deal breaker.
Yeah, they set a timer on it. That's what they did. I wouldn't say that.
They did stop that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker.
It is sort of because I'm sure it is a bit more limiting, but at the same time, it's barely noticeable.
Well, I really don't know why you'd want it set to everyone, because there was a period where I did have it set to everyone, and I was in a public setting, and someone kept spamming my phone with a bunch of AirDrop images. Thank goodness I had the ability to decline.
Yeah, at my school, there was a day back in November when everybody could bring their phones to school, and I didn't bring my phone with me to school just because I didn't realize that you could that day, and I didn't have a lock on my locker, so I didn't. Well, that would be my 11 Pro Max, but I didn't want to bring that with me to school since that's still expensive enough, and I was already trying to save up for a 14 Pro at that point, but my friends at lunch, they kept getting spammed with so much stuff to the point where one of my other classmates actually had to disable his AirDrop.
Yeah, so I'm grateful that they changed that to a 10-minute timer, so that way it just produces less of a hassle, because every now and then you just randomly meet someone while they're not in your contacts, and you happen to need to share something like contact information. That's the most common use case I can think of.
But to be fair, that after that,
wanting to use AirDrop for everyone.
Because after that, they become your contact, so...
Yeah. But also, it's a great reminder in case you accidentally forget to change it back to contacts only, so... Yeah, I'll say that it's more of an improvement.
Alright, there's one more feature. There's one feature of iOS 17 that I am, other than all the correct improvements, which are, of course, always grateful. I'm always grateful to have, but there's one more feature in iOS 17
Assuming they actually work.
Really excited about. And it's a very underrated feature. It is the ability to download maps for offline use.
Oh, that would be so useful!
Yes, because
Because every single time I disconnect from... Yeah, every time I disconnect from the Wi-Fi in my house, we have a brief period where cellular just goes out and my map loses data. I can't see where I am on the map.
But this way... and there's even some areas in my area where if you're like trying to get to somebody's house, for example, it's not hard to lose cellular signal in my area. So to be able to download maps for offline use, because iPhone 14, even on iPhone 14, satellite connectivity still doesn't support that yet. That's a game changer.
No joke. I've been so jealous of Google Maps for having that ability that I just really wish Apple Maps have had that, because if I wanted to take a weekend trip up to Copper Harbor, the northernmost point in the state of Michigan, there's no cell service up there. And it doesn't matter what carrier you're on. There is zero cell service. Everyone up there has a landline for a reason. So, yeah,
First
having
of all,
maps
bring cell
downloaded.
service there.
Yeah. Yeah, once you get to like half an hour outside of Copper Harbor, there's no cell service. So yeah, that's game changer. I like that so much.
But what if you don't want to use up cellular data while traveling? And don't
Also
know where to
true.
go? Like it'll help you save money.
Yeah.
Because you can download
Yeah,
it
because
at your own house.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been like the main highlighted feature of iOS 17, because that's so freaking useful. But Apple barely talked about it.
Yeah, and for once, somebody is actually assuming you don't have access to the internet everywhere.
Yeah.
I hate it when everyone acts like it doesn't matter where you are. You got connectivity wherever you go. No, shut up. That's not true.
Yes. Oh my.
Drive 5 minutes west of me. Cell service gone. So, yeah. For once, finally somebody is realizing, cell coverage isn't actually everywhere. And you can't get internet in every single spot of the globe unless you have Starlink. So, yeah, it just makes sense to give us more offline features that we can still use in remote areas.
Enough on that. There's one more feature in iOS 17 that I want to cover briefly, and it's standby mode, I think it's called.
Oh, I do remember hearing about that. Yes.
That's awesome. But it only works in landscape mode, which is a bit. But from what I hear, it only works in landscape mode, unlike on the Pixel stand. So that's pretty irritating.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. Also, something else that I heard about nightstand mode. Once again, the iPhone has this feature, but wouldn't you think it would make more sense on the iPad?
And that's that's what I was gonna say. That's our segue into iPadOS 17, where wouldn't this make
this thing still continues to be more useless.
This thing isn't useless per se, but oh my gosh, Apple can Talos of Tech said this perfectly. Now that Apple has split iOS and iPadOS together, now it's basically giving Apple a valid excuse to give the iPad hand-me-down features and not even focus on it anymore.
Yes.
It's just pathetic.
That is all it has literally become, Apple. This is what you show us every WWDC since you made this announcement.
And I know, which now, of course, now I know what iPadOS 18 is going to bring. I know what one of the main features is going to be. Standby mode. To be fair, they might have to start making more wireless chargers for the iPads to make it worthy, but Logitech has managed to do it, so can Apple.
Yeah. I mean, you got a smart connector on the back, don't you?
Yeah.
Use that!
Yeah, you got
Create an accessory! Use the smart connector! Is the only thing this smart connector is good for is just a keyboard case?
Logitech knows it's that's not true. And so should Apple, the company that actually makes these tablets.
This has to be good for more things than just a keyboard.
Those.
So, yeah, what is the deal with the lack of attention on the iPad? Because that is something the iPad definitely should have got. Because I would think it'd make more sense to use a bigger display for your nightstand. That's just my thought process.
I don't have exactly a lot of room on my nightstand, but again, I also have a lamp that I need to get rid of, so after that I could fit an iPad on there and use it as a stand.
Yeah, I've been
Like,
debating about getting rid of my our alarm clock accessory, where it was designed where you plug in an iPod or an iPhone on top and you can wake up to your own music, but I don't use it anymore. All I use it is for, it's just the clock, because now my HomePod Mini's become my alarm clock. Since the lightning port on that other alarm clock died, so I guess that's pointless now.
And it caused your iPod Touch 6th generation's battery to explode, which is a hint for what one of the last topics will be, by the way.
Oh yeah. You know what? That's another thing that I just keep thinking when it comes to talking about iPadOS. Yeah, not only does it not have the nightstand mode, which should have come to it as well, why is this still missing the basic features we are screaming at Apple for every single year?
Like a calculator! This should have been a thing with the iPad 1, but it wasn't.
And where's optimized battery charging?
I mean, that's not as big of a deal as Tabby would make sure would make sure that we would know. No, but seriously.
As someone who plugs in my device overnight for long and forgetting to unplug it in the morning, that's not particularly good.
Exactly.
Like, one of the reasons why I'm confident in plugging in my phone overnight is because of optimized battery charging. It holds it at 80% until it's time to, okay, no longer 80%, let's get it to 100% by the time he wakes up. Why does the iPad not have something this basic? It's not that hard. It's software that's in all your other products.
The majority of people don't charge their iPads overnight, so I guess that's the case, but yeah, that's still unacceptable, Apple.
What the heck? AirPods have optimized battery charging.
Like these things do. The things that are in my ears right now.
The AirPods charging case has optimized battery charging.
But apparently this thing can't have it. Even though it costs.
You're telling me that a slightly more advanced, well, quote unquote, slightly more advanced iOS device, macOS, hybrid, whatever you want to call this thing, you're telling me that this advanced of a device can't have as basic of a feature as a, what, $100 charging case for AirPods?
I don't know, man. What do you think about macOS Sonoma?
Dang, I'm trying to remember the changes they made to that. I didn't hear anything notable about it, at least.
So what it does have is that you can turn beautiful screensavers into wallpapers, which is something I'm very excited for when I update to macOS Sonoma later this year, though. It is also doing something to copy Windows Vista.
What might that be?
You know, Windows Vista had introduced widgets on the desktop.
Oh, right. They were adding that. Yeah, you guys can take your widgets. I don't need those things.
Neither do I. I don't even like widgets on iOS in the first place since I never liked Android because I never thought that Android was simple to use when I was little because of that. And that's why I hate widgets. I hate widgets that aren't organized.
Well, also, I do recall now, I've seen a screenshot of the desktop with widgets on it, and they just don't look like they belong.
They really don't.
It's just adding clutter.
That's why I don't have widgets on. That's why I don't have widgets on my iPad, nor my phone. Though I can't show you that on my phone right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't use widgets on my iPhone. I don't use it on my iPad. I'm never planning on using it with my Mac because it's just adding clutter and it's taking up more space for something where if I really wanted to check with my iPhone, I can just swipe to the left, and if I am going to have widgets, I want it all on a separate panel. I don't want it taking up space in my work area.
Like what macOS used to do with the dashboard or just the slide over.
Exactly. Yeah, I just want to be able to... I prefer the function be like open a drawer and there's my little knickknacks and widgets and gizmos and such. I treat my widget center on iOS and the iPad. I treat it like it's a junk drawer. I just open the junk drawer and see the little knickknacks in there and such.
It's kind of like...
But I do not leave it out on the work... I don't leave it out on the work table, as I like to refer to it.
Exactly, though. That kind of segues into our next topic, which I do have one more thing about macOS Sonoma, which is watchOS 10, like how it has widgets, which, oh my gosh, that's so stupid, but before we go too fully...
How is the watch supposed to have widgets?
I don't know.
I'm looking at this. How are they supposed to do that?
Well,
There's no way.
They're going to make the UI more interactive and redesign it, and I'm like, nah, I like this current Apple Watch interface.
Yeah, same here. I've seen some of the screenshots on there, and yeah, I'll take the old design.
Though going back on macOS Sonoma for a minute, Sonoma, macOS, the actual place for macOS, there's two more things that macOS Sonoma copied from Windows. One is kinda, but the other is mostly.
So what might these be?
Well, this is just kind of a funny coincidence, but you know the macOS Sonoma wallpaper looks kind of like the Windows XP Bliss wallpaper. Or just kind of reminds me of it, like it's not that much like it.
macOS Sonoma wallpaper. There we go. Images. I can see the lines flowing. I'm trying to get that Vista vibe, but I'm not really getting it.
It's the XP vibe.
Oh, the XP you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting XP vibes from this, yeah.
Alright, well,
I like it at least.
You know the actual place that the macOS Sonoma was named after is not too far from the hill that the actual photograph for the Bliss wallpaper was taken?
Oh, really?
Yes. But another thing that Bergio, the Apple Geek, posted on his Twitter is that the macOS Sonoma lock screen looks a lot like the Windows 11 lock screen. And I mean almost identical except for the font, which is very disturbing. Since I know Windows 11 is a garbage operating system anyway, but Apple is stole something from it. That's not cool, Apple.
I'm trying to find the lock screen wallpaper, but I'm not
seeing it's the lock screen itself.
Oh, did they change like the UI and such?
Yep.
That have to see. I'm trying to find
Oh.
it on here.
I'll text you a link.
Touch ID. Yeah, I'll have to see. I see it. I found an image. Huh. You know, I'm gonna pull up my XPS for comparison. One sec.
Yeah. I don't normally like to accuse Apple of doing this, but I think they are.
Alright, let me get a comparison after my laptop boots up. I can't show what's on the screen because this is my work laptop, so,
They're required to keep stuff confidential.
Yep. I also don't remember if I left anything open on this too, so,
I sent it in the Discord chat, but
Alright, let's try it. Huh. So it's got the clock and the date copied, which that
Yeah.
personally I don't mind.
like
I don't mind
I don't
that.
mind
and,
it, but it's still Apple, man. But I think Windows purposely copied Apple on this one in a sense because it still kind of looks like the iOS lock screen in a sense. So I think that's where Microsoft got from for Windows 11. For Windows 11.
Well,
but-
when they redesigned Windows 11, they copied a lot of design styling cues from Apple. So
that wouldn't
I wouldn't be
surprise.
too surprised
so
if that were the case.
Apple technically is being original, but it's still.
Yeah, personally, I like it. I
like
have
it
no
too.
gripes about that.
I really like it, but all right. The next, as I think it shows more information than previous lock screen, but the next, going back to on WatchOS 10, what do you think about that?
There's one thing that I did hear actually that I'm a little interested in. It's better cycling tracking. I'm trying to get back into riding my bike again because I
Oh yeah.
don't work out as much as I should, and due to the fact that I'm right next to a snowmobile trail, I get a lot of access to biking off the road, so I really want to get back into that again.
Yeah, I have a track in my backyard which I can use for biking a lot, so that would be WatchOS 10 would be useful for that, but because I don't like to update my devices, I can't experience that.
Well, what's wrong with updating your watch?
Well, in order to update my watch, I have to update my phone first. And considering that, and I want to keep.
Oh, that's true. I forgot.
Yeah, and I don't want to update my phone. And I don't really like updating any of my devices necessarily, just because of the hassle. But I especially don't want to update my phone because it's on iOS 16.0.2, which is already getting a little bit rare as is. But I want to keep it that way, so that way 10 years later I'm not bragging about how I paid $90 for an iPhone 14 Pro that's on 16.6. Whatever for with a broken accelerometer and a barely working battery and spots in the rear cameras and a broken front camera, which is definitely not what I did with my iPhone 5 on iOS 6. That is sarcastic. That's how. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, that's actually how my. And yeah, I got scammed with my iOS 6 iPhone 5.
So yeah, you don't update your phone, but you do update your Mac and delay this podcast in the process of doing
Yeah.
it.
I didn't expect the update to take that long.
So yeah, guys, I'm not actually joking. For a guy who claims, nope, I'm not going to update any of these things because
I update my Mac.
I gotta have...
I never claim. The reason why I update my back.
He goes ahead and updates his Mac right before the podcast starts.
I was trying to kill time and thought that it would not be short enough, but clearly I was stupid. But yes, clearly it's stupid. But I can always downgrade my Mac back, which, like, I can go... with a special internet recovery command, I can downgrade this 2019 MacBook Pro back to macOS Big Sur, which is what it shipped with.
Yeah, I suppose downgrading macOS was way easier than iOS. So
Because I don't know if you watch my downgrade tutorials or not, but downgrading iOS is not easy.
I take a look at the timestamps. They're way longer than your usual videos. So.
And you should see the comments on my downgrade tutorials.
I'm guessing a lot of them are, why didn't this one bit work and such?
Yes, and that's me on my iPhone on my iPhone 4 downgrade tutorial, which is Geek Grade. So when you restore with the custom IPSW in iTunes, it will come up with an error. So that way because it's tethered, so you have to put it into DFU mode and then go into Red Snow to boot up the phone. But a lot of people didn't watch far enough into the video to realize that, so they didn't realize, oh, there's more steps. I'm not done after.
I hate those types of comments where they don't watch the whole thing. So many people didn't realize that to the point where it hit a comment, since people who commented on most of the comments on that video were so stupid that I had to eventually just say, put in the pinned comment, watch further into the video. Yeah, if something's not making sense, guys, then watch the freaking video. You usually give an explanation.
Yes, that drove me nuts. Again, I don't really like Geek Grade.
Why are people this dumb? Oh, jeez. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't want to harp on viewers like that, but that is just so annoying when you get those comments that are like, why didn't you do this and when literally a couple seconds after they brought up the thing that they're upset with, you literally explain it a couple seconds after. Just like, watch the freaking video!
Like, I've even had to start explaining that in my more recent tutorials because of that.
What do we got to do now? We got to make a disclaimer in videos like these where if you have a question on why did this thing not work and such, maybe you should just watch the freaking video ahead of time or something. I don't know.
The irritating thing is that that's the most viral one, and that the other tethered downgrade that I covered, Nightshade, which keep in mind is a way older tutorial. No one has comment. I haven't gotten those types of comment. I don't get nearly as many mad comments on that video, even though I've got Nightshade to work in quite a while.
Yeah, jeez. Sometimes viewers are quite annoying. I've already had to play tech support on eBay after I sold my BlackBook.
Oh my gosh.
The guy would not leave me alone!
I'm guessing it was not Tabby that bought it.
No, it's someone else in Maine or something. Jeez. I mean, at first, okay, I did screw up one bit. I completely, despite that I harp on everyone that they should factory reset their devices before selling it. Guess what I forgot to do?
Oh, you... To be fair, you didn't have that much personal information on it.
I never put anything on it other than like my YouTube name and a password just so I could create a local account. But no, I've never put anything on the device. So, okay, fine. He reaches out to me and asks for the password to get to the desktop. Then we have a whole long hassle about trying to figure out what the difference between getting to the desktop and what iCloud is. We went on about this for hours!
You should have just told him, look, you're being stupid, just leave me alone. That's what I would have done.
And then after that, he then tries to connect it to the Wi-Fi, but for some odd reason, oh wait, there's a bit of Maine that's in a different time zone. He must live in that bit.
No, I thought
the time was off.
Easter. No, all Maine is
No, there's
Easter.
a tiny portion that's not. I don't think so.
Let me do a time zone map. Just check.
Well, he was complaining something was off at the time, and because of it, it wouldn't allow the MacBook to connect to Wi-Fi or the internet or whatever. So he's harping on me. How did I do this? It's such like, dude, this isn't my problem anymore. Look it up. I'm not tech support. I mean, yeah, I'm a tech enthusiast. I do kind of know these things. But the last thing I want to do while I'm standing at a machine trying to do a dry run is handle your tech support.
Exactly.
I'm trying not to break drills here.
I did check, and all Maine is in Eastern time zone.
I know they change the definitions every now and then. Last I checked, there was a portion of it that was an hour ahead of us, but
yeah, nah, it's not. But not that I know of. But let's get back on to the 15-inch MacBook Air.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yes, it's fine. This is gonna convince so many people to get a Mac.
And they priced it so
It's gonna
well.
basically have the PC industry. Yes, they priced it so much better than I thought they would.
I did not expect that. They lowered the price of the 13-inch by $100, which I expected them to do that at some point. If we remember what happened when they redesigned the, what was it, third generation MacBook Air back in 2018?
Yeah.
So they did that with their fourth generation design. They lowered it $100 right now. And yeah, this is so well priced. I keep thinking this is going to be a hot seller.
It will be. I'm very... Like, people who claim that they can't get good Macs with good size screens for cheap. No, now it's going to be cheaper.
Yeah, finally. I got to tell my aunt about this, actually, because she wants a Mac with a bigger screen, and because of that, the last one she bought was a 15-inch MacBook Pro, but she does not need all of that performance. She's a school teacher.
My mom will be. My mom would be happy to know that, but she thinks she needs all that performance.
Well, I guess that's her decision and such, but though
Yeah,
you might have to give her a demo of what the M2 is capable of, because when it comes to Intel architecture, oh yeah, definitely, but you don't need the most powerful stuff in the MacBook Pros to do the types of things that
I keep trying to convince. Well, my mom refuses to get an M2 Mac. Like, she needs a new MacBook Pro now, but she wants to get another 2019. In fact, she bought another 2019, but it didn't work, so she sent it back. This is her second. She's on her second.
If she's worried about performance and such. Yeah,
like,
if she's worried about performance and such, try to
RAM,
find a graph.
Which is plenty of RAM.
Yeah, that's... People keep forgetting how efficient macOS is with memory. You'd be surprised.
Yes, and my mom also no, I shouldn't be blaming my mom on this podcast, but people people just don't realize that you don't need that. ARM is so much more efficient than x86.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why the M1 MacBook Air became such a huge hit once it launched.
Yeah, there's a reason
they're
why
more
it
efficient.
But this doesn't have one.
They're so powerful. You know, that's a good way to market to your mom why she should get the M2 15-inch. Compare her 16-inch MacBook Pro to your dad's M1 MacBook Air. They're very comparable.
Tonight I have to write video scripts, so I probably don't have time to do it tonight, but maybe somebody's gonna have to do that tomorrow, if my dad will let me borrow his MacBook for Moses.
But yeah, try to run some tests, because something I think she'd appreciate too, 8 more hours of battery life. Who could say no to battery life?
She plugs her laptop in all the time anyway, so she doesn't really care about battery life. But you wouldn't have to plug it in
Still,
anymore.
who can say no to that? Yeah.
And what if my mom wanted
And it doesn't
to go
matter.
somewhere?
That too, and it doesn't matter if you're plugged in or not. You still get max performance anyways.
Yeah, that's the other benefit. Oh, I gotta convince my mom to get a 15-inch MacBook Air now. Oh, it also comes
You really
in gold,
have
which I know
to.
she'll love.
Oh, yep.
She doesn't like
If I
silver
recall,
and
she gets
fake
all of
gray,
her
but
Apple
she likes
products in gold.
But this is becoming perfect.
Oh, this is perfect marketing material. You got to convince her before she buys another 16-inch MacBook Pro from 2019.
Or she's mine, but
This-
she just hasn't found good value in 2021 ones and 2023s. But that's still which is probably why I'm stuck with the 2019.
The new MacBook Air is an
Pro.
incredible value.
Though again, and I wish I could get a 15-inch MacBook Air, but unfortunately I do need more power of a Pro, which is why I have to hold a MacBook for a while.
Yep.
Which is very unfortunate because this MacBook
yes.
is starting to get really outdated, obsolete. And I'm on a 16-inch 2019,
Yep.
by the way. But let's move on to the
Yeah,
next
I've
topic,
got-
which is the new Mac Studio.
Oh, they refreshed that too, right? So now it has M2 Ultra, which is basically, still kind of not that impressive. It only gets what? It's yeah. You guys can tell I did not watch the event. It's just a sign that the M2 Ultra has come out at this point.
I personally like the new Mac. I think
hope-
the Mac Studio is now killer value since now since the new Mac Pro, which is our next topic, which I guess we'll combine these into two. The Mac Studio now has the
Oh,
M2
yeah.
Ultra chip. It just makes the new Mac Pro so worthless because you just get extra expansion with the new Mac Pro. But I'm like,
Everything about the Mac Pro, everything about the refresh Mac Pro makes absolutely no sense to me.
it's terrible. Apple should have just not. Like, I understand maybe for 20 years down the line, computer enthusiasts get it. Like, they would rather have a Mac Pro since it'd be easier to repair and whatnot, and because you could add cool mods to it.
But
But
what the heck are they gonna put in it?
for now, no. You can just buy more storage and RAM and whatnot on a Mac Studio, and you'll be set to go. And you can add external storage too. So you're like, what? And the PCIe slots on the new Mac Pro aren't even that compatible with stuff.
I don't get it.
Like,
You can't put in a GPU. The afterburner card doesn't work.
Oh.
What are you gonna put in there?
And what? And what's the? And it's $1,000 more than the last Mac Pro.
I was just about to say that this is $1,000 more expensive for a base price.
Like $1,000.
What were they thinking?
And they're still marketing with the Pro Display XDR with a $1,000 monitor.
What the heck? Who would buy this computer? It's got the same processing power as the Mac Studio, and sure, it physically has the ability to expand upon its hardware capabilities, but it doesn't support anything other than storage drives. So, what is the point? I'm
no
so
point.
confused.
Like, you just plug storage drives in, and that's how you get modularity that way. But I think we can all agree that the new Mac Studio
Who's gonna buy this
Pro
thing?
is a scam because they're new Mac Studio. But now
I'm
we have the
just trying to
next
think
topic.
who would buy this thing.
We have the next topic. This is going to be the big topic. The big one.
Oh. You could say there's one more thing to talk about with WWDC?
Yep, one more thing. And this is the Apple Vision Pro.
Oh, I'm not really excited about it, if I'm being honest.
I don't honestly know what to think about it. I'm very conflicted on this.
So I've got a lot of thoughts on it already, so if you haven't formulated yours yet, I could go first.
Nope, I've formulated mine.
Alright. So,
Okay,
so what are your thoughts on it then?
It's no doubt that this headset is definitely going to be... It's not going to replace the smartphone by any means, but it's going to at least be a good other device to add to people's lives. It's going to be a good... Like, it might be a good... It has the chance to be a good one because they're... But at the same time, like Apple does have a chance to normalize this, but at the same time, like, what can Apple Vision Pro really do? Because all Apple showed it doing was playing Apple Arcade games like email, doing email, web browsing, texting. It's all the stuff that even an iPad can do, which is way cheaper. Like, but it isn't shown to do any professional grade tasks like that any other device, including cheaper MacBooks, can do, which is a bit concerning, which makes the Apple Vision Pro fall into a similar trap that the Apple Newton did, where the Apple Newton was too underperforming for business users, but it was too expensive for casual users, and we can all agree at $3,500 for a consumer tech product when a lot of iPhone consumers especially don't even drive cars that cost that much. You can say, in fact, you didn't even drive a car that costs that much until just recently. But now.
Yeah.
Which is a segue. Which is just a hint. But, like, this thing is just...
Yeah.
I don't know what the Apple Vision Pro has plenty of potential with everything except for the 3D camera that's gonna flop immediately. You can just recreate memories in your head. But it just doesn't have the potential. I just see like AR screens everywhere. Like, I'm like, oh, like, I just don't like random screens popping out at me in the real world. Like, that just seems a little bit weird and displaced. But again, I'm sure that could become more normal with time, but I still don't know what to... But I honestly have mixed feelings about the Apple Vision Pro, but I'll go ahead and let you go now.
Alright, so I got a lot of positive feelings about the technology itself, but I have a lot of problems with... I have a lot of problems with the integration in how we use it, what we use it for.
Yes, because, like, you go on.
Yeah, so the hardware that they put into this is absolutely crazy. You can actually see why it's adding all up to $3,500. I don't think it's price gouging in any means, because when you actually take a look at what this thing is equipped with, it legit costs that much, especially since we're talking about how large are those individual 4K displays, and also using a new micro OLED technology. That's going to cost a lot of money. Then there are so many other cameras and sensors and various other bits to the device, including, why did they have to add an exterior screen? Because I gotta be honest, the eye thing, it may look fine in marketing material, but there's no way it's going to look good in the real world.
It's like, the eye thing, like, because it's not just a simple recording of your face, it's not gonna look great. Especially if they're recreating themselves, like, that's that's just bad looking. Like, I've already seen how Apple's doing this with their face face smoothing software where it makes me look like I'm wearing makeup even though I'm not. On iPhones, like I can see.
Yeah, it does the same with me actually.
The iPhone XS and up have that, but getting back on topic, like that's just not gonna look great.
Yeah, so yeah, I'd say they kind of spent money in areas where they didn't need to. Like, there's no need for an exterior display because the eye thing is just going to look absolutely creepy. It may look fine to marketing material, but there's a huge difference between marketing and the real world. We've seen this with a lot of products.
Speaking of marketing, the marketing of this headset was not total BS because not only was it marketed towards consumer use despite not being a consumer price, then there's also another problem with Apple Vision Pro. So remember that rumor so John Prosser stated this in his video about this, but remember about the Apple Vision Pro, but remember that rumor a few months ago that Apple executives did not think that the Apple Vision Pro should release?
Yeah, you could definitely tell in the marketing of this. They weren't entirely sure on what to use it for themselves.
But notably, there's no actual footage or pictures of any top-ranking Apple executives like Tim Cook, Greg Josvac, and Craig Federighi. Like, there's no footage of any of them or photos of any of them wearing the headset. Whereas when Tim Cook debuted the
That
Apple Watch,
is the weirdest thing ever!
But at the same time,
to me, that is the weirdest thing ever! Because every single product, except their sneak peek of AirPower, which, we know what happened to that. Every single product, they've had a physical thing that they held in their hands. On stage, talking to us.
Suspicious. This could be, I know they have official units, but at the same time they had official prototype units of AirPower, and is this thing going to actually release? There's just that thing. And we also...
That is just so weird to me.
Every
single product. The iPhone, despite how bit of a buggy mess that thing was when they had announced it on stage at the time, they still brought you a physical product in their hands. They showed that off. The Apple Watch, AirPods, everything was physical until this headset. Where is it?
But if you look back at the original iTunes phone launch event, even though it was a revolutionary concept since you could listen to tech rock because you could listen to iTunes music on a phone now, so you could have easy phone listening music access, which is revolutionary, similar to headset, how it's revolutionizing the world of AR and VR. Steve Jobs himself was not very enthusiastic about the iTunes phone, and guess what happened to the iTunes phone?
Oh, that went away real quick.
Yeah. I don't think this is suspicious. Is Apple going to even
It
release
is so
this?
weird. I think so, but they were scared to show this, and they were so careful about how they wanted to bring this to us. It's like they're holding back. They're definitely nervous about this product.
Makes you wonder what they're hiding.
I don't know, but aside from that, aside from this whole weird shenanigans going on with the headset, to me, I basically covered that, yeah, the hardware is impressive, but I don't think the implementation, they didn't do much advertising on how we're supposed to use this, but the implementation that they're suggesting, I feel, is going to do the opposite of what I think they want it to do.
Because you're like, oh, you can run emails for $3,500. That's cool. No, it's not. But getting back, it's basically a Chromebook, but $3,500. But let's go ahead and talk about the next topic, which is the Nothing Phone.
Well, actually, I'm not done just yet. Just yet. So, yeah, I was trying to start another thought, but there's something that this is going to go a little deep to the point where maybe I might have to cut some stuff out from just me getting too deep and talking about myself. But there's one thing that I've noticed with the headset that John Prosser's video actually really helped me point out. It's when he was talking about Apple advertising their 3D photos feature.
You can. Oh! I was gonna bring that up.
So the funny thing is, they advertise this as, well, you can now use it to take three-dimensional photos, and you can live in the moment, get yourself so immersed in it, because, well,
you can already
unlike
do that in real
viewing
life.
it on a canvas, it's right in your face.
You can do it in real life.
But there's a slight problem that I noticed with it. There's one moment in particular that they wanted to capture a 3D photo of, and it was basically a guy taking a photo of his kids playing.
Oh! But it doesn't look like the guy is actually participating to the kids.
You're right. This is what I'm noticing. He may get to experience the whole thing, but what do the kids see? Because this is the thing about moments and memories that I think are important to everyone.
Exactly.
It shouldn't focus on one person.
It should focus on
It should
everybody.
be about everyone. Where is the dad in that picture?
He's nowhere.
He doesn't exist. And every time I keep looking at people wearing this thing, I find it as a barrier of socialization instead of something that would bring you together. FaceTime, the way they try to integrate it, it is the most awkward thing I've ever seen.
It's like in the metaverse.
Exactly.
Except a little bit better, but not much.
They're trying to market this as it's bringing, well, especially with FaceTime, they're trying to market it as it'll bring you closer to your friends and family and such, but in reality, I just don't see that to be the case. It may provide you a more immersive experience in it, but to everyone else, they're disconnected.
Like with at least the
And
phones
it doesn't. And even if you get the VR headsets too, so that way you both can get the more immersive experience, you're still looking at a fake version of each other.
And what's another irritating part, that's the same issue with the metaverse. And at least with phones right now, you can, even though AirPods have noise cancellation, they still at least don't have it enough, like you can tell what's going on because you're not fully immersed. I know Apple's trying to market it as this AR instead of VR, but that is a serious problem, with metaverse-like problem. And we all know what the metaverse turned into.
Yeah, they quickly dropped that real quick after the AI thing took off. But what I'm basically seeing is I think this technology is going to separate us socially even more than bring us together. Because at least with the phone, it's something that you and someone else can hold together. You both can look at the same thing. And another thing they advertise, watching movies. I don't know about you, but I personally enjoy watching movies with my family.
So do I.
Me and my sisters, I've been trying to get my youngest sister to start watching a TV show that's kind of cheesy. It's Bluey, but actually it is such a good show.
I've seen that
Such
before,
a good show, God.
and it's okay.
So good.
But it's just too cheesy.
Okay, jeez. I mean, yeah, I'm looking at it from a different perspective. They're mostly trying to market it as, yeah, it's a kid's show. It's for ages 3 to 10 or something like that. But the thing is, I don't think that's the case with that show.
I watched a few
Anywho, yeah,
episodes
we're
of it
a
in
little off
class,
topic.
But
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we're a little off topic about that, but yeah, but I could go off on a whole Bluey side tangent if the audience wants to, and say maybe the next episode. So if you really want me to go off on a Bluey side tangent next episode, leave comments down below. But and you're back on topic.
Used to watch it when he was younger.
Yeah, so back on topic. So me and my sisters have been watching Bluey as of recent, but that's going to be difficult with the AR VR headset.
It will.
And sure, okay, you could get an AR VR headset for everyone in the family, but
that's not on the glossary.
You're better off just buying a really nice TV, if I'm being honest.
There's also another issue that Apple didn't bring up. You couldn't use AR and
what
VR.
Might that be?
You couldn't buy a headset for a whole family since VR is not safe for eyes and kids under the age of 10.
Very true.
In fact, one time when I was taking a field trip back in 4th grade, which of course some kids are 9, some kids are 10, there was of course we got to go in a VR area, and luckily I got to go since I was already 10 at that point, but a lot of kids, but there were some, like if you were 9, you did not get to go. Luckily my whole group was able to go as we were all 10.
Yeah, but yeah, I just don't see it as a way to connect us better together. That's something that the iPhone at least did very well. It did help us connect to each other when we're long distance, but at the same time, we're still, when we are together, we don't have this barrier right in front of us. And all I can see with the AR VR thing, it's the Vision Pro headset. It is literally putting another barrier between you and the rest of society. Now, in some cases, some might view, okay, that's good, because right now society is a total nightmare, but
no, it's not.
Still.
Even my grandmother will still talk to me quite a lot, even when I have my AirPods in. Which, again, just goes to show you, like, there's not, like, iOS devices as they are now aren't a true barrier, but but the VR headset is. But there's another concern with the Apple Vision Pro.
The battery life?
No, another concern.
What might this concern be?
This tech product might not actually have enough time might not have too much time on the market, which is again another problem, as there's another big thing coming that's going to interrupt the whole market nonetheless. Quantum computing.
I'm not too sure if that would be useful in small-scale devices like that just yet anyways.
Yes, quantum computing is basically like AI on steroids, to think of it kind of as that, whereas they'll be able to do very complex math and they'll be able to do things so much faster and all that, but what this means for the average Joe is, like with the iPhone, you couldn't really forecast a new device that was coming that was going to take storm, that was going to disrupt the whole market anyway. With the Apple Vision Pro, the fact that quantum computing is already at least decently available in the United States, the fact that it's coming already just makes it seem like it's a little like it's on the cusp.
So you think the hardware is going to age? It's going to age a little too fast by the time it actually releases, is what you're saying, right?
It's not going to age, not by the time it releases, but it's not going to have it's going to be like Blu-rays, where it's going to be great for the first few years, but Blu-rays quickly got overtaken by streaming, and so the Apple Vision...
Oh, so what you're saying is we're going to advance so far, so fast, that it just leaves it in the dust.
Yes, because Apple might not even have the resource. And Apple's going to probably have to put if Apple's going to survive the quantum computing transition, they're gonna have to really, they might have to really focus on on developing quantum Macs.
Yeah.
Because
there's one thing that I keep saying that I think this headset is really for, that they should not have really marketed it towards consumers. I think they should have marketed it more towards developers.
How come?
Primarily because this is a brand new operating system. And for the most part, the majority of consumers, they're not going to drop that kind of money on something that does everything. It doesn't really improve upon your daily life other than, it surrounds your whole entire eyes instead of, I got to hold this dynamic picture frame in my hand or such. To me, I think it makes more sense to market it more towards developers because battery life is short. They're most likely going to have it plugged in all the time. The tech is too expensive for general consumers. There's not much to the software at the moment other than Apple's default basic apps. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Nope, there's another problem with that. The hardware is still rocking the M2 chip, which can already be achieved with the M2 Mac Mini at $600. So it's too underperforming for professional users, which is similar to the Apple Newton, which is similar to what I said earlier. Like, it's just too it's not gonna perform. Like, it's gonna perform well. Don't get me wrong, but it's not gonna perform but it might not perform 3.5 grand well for developers.
Well, I don't think that's the case because I'm saying that this should be more marketed as. Remember the first WWDC when Apple went virtual due to COVID and such?
Yes.
How they announced that little Mac transition kit to develop for Apple Silicon? That's what I think this product should have been marketed more as.
Because of Apple's glasses. That's, if they ever release those, that's genius.
Exactly!
That's another issue. We can, not only is there quantum computing like 10 or 20 years down the line, there's also smart glasses, which are coming right up. Like, they're not coming right up, but they're already making a lot of progress on them.
So, that's what I think this product should have been marketed more towards. It should have been marketed for developers to get something in their hands so they can develop for Vision OS.
Though, Apple probably isn't. That's probably why Apple might not have done that, since they're probably not confident in that they can even get their glasses done, as those have been rumored since 2017.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is such an interesting product. Like, I don't... Because I haven't even watched the event at this point, I figured, alright, it's already passed. I missed the news drop, so there's no point making a WWDC recap video for the Gadgets channel.
Okay.
I am probably still going to make a Vision Pro video.
I was just about to ask where your YouTube channel has been, since you haven't uploaded to your Gadgets channel in a bit.
I've been so busy like you would not believe. Well, last week,
right.
I had a wild card thrown into that. Ended up, I had to text you guys, I have to delay editing the podcast because this is a big life decision right here. So that threw me off. And then the rest of the time, it was graduation parties and...
You have relatives graduating?
Hey, editor Alpha DeWolf here. We said some stuff, and you guys are not allowed to hear this stuff. And this right here is where the stuff used to be. Alright, now that stuff has been said, back to the show.
But anywho, yeah, I've been so busy throughout the last week. Be it graduation parties, the other thing we're going to talk about at the end of this episode, and supervising a new employee at work.
Oh, I imagine.
So.
Oh, never mind. I'm
Yeah, you won't believe how stressful it is when you're witnessing someone learn the stuff for the first time, when you already know exactly how it's done and you can do it like 5 times faster.
I understand. That's so this is a bit of a more personal thing, but I guess could go on the podcast, but I'm one of the more advanced kids in my school. And so oftentimes whenever I have to watch other students do work, or else just have them.
Yeah, sometimes it gets painful.
Them do it. It gets painful. So now, like, I can do this in 5 seconds, and there was even one time, and even for
try communicating with that guy on eBay who couldn't tell the difference between iCloud and the desktop.
Oh, and it was
gosh.
that time in the first semester of 8th grade when I could even do math faster than my teacher.
So, I've been busy. I've been tired. So that's why a lot of, like, even on the Drive channel, I've still been uploading more to the Drive channel because that's, to me, where the majority of the interesting news is at the moment. I've still got gadgets videos in the pipeline, but again, I just don't have the time. I am so tired.
I understand. I'm tired right now.
I was up until the night before my last video on the Drive channel. The night before I uploaded that, I was up till past 2 in the morning trying to get that finished up.
I was wondering if you had to put a lot of work into that.
I did, and I'm tired. I was so tired. So, yeah, that's the reason why the podcast episode has been so delayed. It's because I've gotten so busy, and I'm editing these things late at night. You gotta give me credit for that at least, please.
Thank you, Alpha, for editing these late at night.
Yeah.
Alright, well, the next bit of news is that the Nothing Phone 2 is launching on July 11th.
Good for nothing.
Good for nothing.
Oh my god.
It's so funny because it's not good for nothing. It's good for something, but still, why did Carl Pei name his new company Nothing? I haven't seen Nothing take off outside tech enthusiasts yet, so.
There's so many jokes with that. Jeez. Good for nothing. Oh, jeez. That was a good one.
Yeah, but I don't know much about what Nothing's gonna do, so I'm guessing it'll just be a refined, semi-good Android phone. But the next bit of news is very, very good.
All right, what is it?
YouTube is lowering their monetization policies.
Do explain.
So now,
I am hearing about this for the first time.
Alright, so now in order to get monetized on YouTube, you have to have at least 500 subscribers, 3 public uploads within the last 90 days, and this next requirement is where I fall short. 3,000 hours of watch time within the last year. I'll probably be monetized later this year because I don't fall short, because I'm not too far off from the watch hours requirement, but I am.
Oh my gosh, that is so exciting!
Yep. I might be monetized soon.
Oh, I wish I could get there. I'm so close to 200 subs on the Gadgets channel. I'm so close.
I remember what it was like back when I was approaching 200 subscribers about 2 years ago.
I'm trying to get there by the end of the month, and then I gotta hit another 300. Oh, that'd be so sweet, because I got the watch time. I mean, I don't have 4,000 hours, but I get a lot of watch time from my videos.
Oh my god. You could... Yeah, I've been a little bit irritated with how long my channel took to get to 800 subscribers, since even though I'm thankful for 800 subscribers, it took me 2 months to get from 600 to 700, but it took me 4 months to get from 700 to 800. That was a bit irritating, but thanks for but still, thank you guys for thank you to all my YouTube subscribers for 800 subscribers.
And please get me to 200.
Yeah, I'll fit 200, everybody. And speaking of, one of our former guests, Ethan from Apple Maniac YT, he hasn't been getting a lot of viewership on his channel lately, so please subscribe to him too, as he really wants to get to 2,000 subscribers.
Ooh, so I bet he's already monetized at this point.
No, I don't think he's monetized yet, since I don't think he meets the watch hours, though it might be able to now. With the
Oh,
new
he doesn't
policy.
get those yet. I guess we might find out. At some
Yeah,
point,
because he'll
but-
probably say something about that soon.
So yeah, that's exciting. That's a good move on YouTube.
It still isn't their
Especially
original
saying this
monetization.
as someone who's-
Still isn't their original monetization policy where anybody could get monetized, as long as you apply.
Yeah, that would have been real nice.
But at least it's something.
I can't wait for the day I get monetized.
Neither can I.
Because I put so many night hours into my videos that I want to make something off of them.
At least I won't be. One thing is that especially since ads will be my only source of income from YouTube, because I will never ever accept a sponsorship. The next topics that I want to talk about are my recent purchases. Or no, let's actually wait and talk about the next piece and last bit of news before we talk about my purchases. GM is switching to the NACS connector on their cars.
Yes!
GM making a move in the right direction.
They finally made a half-decent decision! In fact, actually, this isn't even a half-decent decision. This is a 200% decent decision.
GM might finally
actually got
survive
smart
the
for a
EV
change.
transition now. Assuming they bring back the Bolt and
Yeah,
bring back
they just gotta-
CarPlay.
Yeah, they just gotta actually produce the Ultium platform and such. But actually, I have even more exciting news upon that, other than GM is switching to NACS. Other charging hardware providers are also starting to switch to NACS.
That's a... Oh, this doesn't mean Electrify America, does it?
They haven't announced that, actually, but other hardware providers like ChargePoint, Tritium, Blink,
Ooh.
Flow, ChemPower, Alpitronic. Yeah, there's a lot of hardware providers that have announced, yep, we're adding an NACS connector to our chargers.
That's great news for Tesla. Even though I'm still...
Well, it's not just great news for Tesla, it's great news for everyone. And to my surprise, Charin, which is basically the group who's behind the protocols for CCS, they were very salty about this at first, but they finally realized, you know what? We're just being stupid. So they've now got a dedicated portion of their group that is focusing on software development for the North American charging standard.
That's awesome.
So even Charin is in on this.
And now all we gotta get is Electrify America on board.
You know, I think we could leave them in the dust at this point.
Actually, let's leave them in the dust. They deserve to die.
Because we're finally getting some actually proven reliable hardware coming to the US. We're getting ChemPower. We're getting Alpitronic. We're getting more high-powered tritium units.
We're getting proven good. And now it's time to buy an electric car, everybody.
Yeah, this is stuff that is available in Europe and has been proven to be extremely reliable. And it's finally coming here to the US.
That's awesome.
And all of these brands, ChemPower, Tritium, Alpitronic, they're all going to integrate NACS. ChargePoint even, I gotta mention, ChargePoint has some proven really good hardware. Their issue is, once it eventually fails, they suck at getting it back online.
Oh, yeah.
That's my one complaint about ChargePoint. They need to work on getting their stuff back online once something goes down. But even their hardware is reliable. And ChargePoint has also announced they're switching to NACS too.
Yeah, there's some ChargePoint.
Which, funny enough, the ChargePoint.
So.
Yeah, funny enough. So there's 2 ChargePoint stations around me. You've seen. I'm pretty sure you watched that video where I go charger hunting, right?
I've seen both of those chargers.
So the one that was offline in that video that had yet to be put online, that's fine. That actually just went online today.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, 1.5 months after it was put in the ground. But hey, I'll take that over 6 months, which was the other station.
Oh, that's a major improvement.
Yeah, so at least that's finally up and working. I'm really nervous about that CCS cable, though, because I actually went by 2 days ago to check that out, and I found it lying on the ground with water in the contactor pins.
Oh.
So I hope it's not damaged, but yeah, that's a little sketchy of a situation. So whoever visited that before I got there decided to vandalize it by just leaving the handles on the ground.
I wonder if they'll ever make laws to persecute people against that.
Well, there are laws against vandalism, against many other things like murals and various other places, and chargers do count. People have been prosecuted for vandalizing chargers. So.
Oh, that is true.
So, yeah, like the one story a few years ago when Tesla put in a brand new 8-stall V3 supercharger, and it wasn't even a week, somebody came by and cut all the cables off of them. So, yeah, thank goodness Tesla has this amazing serviceability where they literally get it back up and running in like 2 days. So, but yeah, vandalism unfortunately is still a thing, and it's apparently a problem at the other location that's across the canal. So.
At least you have more EV chargers around you than I do, as I have just one electric charger in my city right now or EV charger in my city right now, because there's another one that used to be in my park but went offline about a year ago and never came back.
That sucks. Yeah, I'm so confused on the decisions of the state integrating the chargers up here, because it's the state who's funding these. They put ChargePoint CPE 250s in the college town I live in, but when you go up to Copper Harbor, they've got a really nice and juicy 175 kilowatt NLX juice pump unit.
And that's
Tritium.
Copper Harbor isn't even that big of a city.
It's not even a city, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, Copper Harbor is not a city.
It's an unincorporated community.
Yeah, it's a small village. That's what Copper Harbor is. So, oh yeah, and it's also where the end of US 41 is. Stretching from Miami, Florida to Copper Harbor, Michigan.
It goes a long way.
Yep. So, yeah, I'm still very confused on their decision to invest in a higher power charger up where nobody drives an electric car and give us lower power chargers in a college town where I spotted a Tesla Model Y and a Model X today. So,
yeah, and there are people, once Tesla does get around to, and once they put more superchargers in my town, they're probably going to have to put superchargers because I've seen a few Teslas driving around in my city.
well, hey, maybe once everyone gets on board with NACS, that won't become as big of an issue.
Yep. Because there's a lot of Chevy Bolts there's a few Chevy Bolts in my area too.
Yeah, I've seen like 3 of them drive around here.
Alright, well, the next big topic, which again, probably when this episode releases I might already have these, but I got some new devices yesterday.
Alright, what are they?
Old. So the first...
Of course.
The first thing is, the least exciting of which is a 16GB iPod Touch 5 but unlike a normal iPod Touch 5, it has no eyesight. It's the one without the eyesight camera on the back.
I've seen that one. One of my first responder friend has one. Yeah, my first responder friend has one.
You should ask for it.
She still uses it at home though.
Who has use for an iPod Touch 5 these days?
My mom still uses her iPod Touch 6.
Oh, speaking of, I also bought a space gray 32GB iPod Touch 6 off of eBay. The iPod Touch 5 is running iOS 9, but the iPod Touch 6 is space gray 32GB and it is running iOS 12.5.7, I think. And then the iPod Touch... So let me check that, because I posted a photo of the listing on the web.
A few minutes later.
Oh, I don't know what firmware it's on. Okay, I didn't post that to the listing. There's also... But I know it's on iOS 12. So it's not that special. But I also got a very special iPod. And the reason why it's special is because it's an iPod Touch 7th generation that's gold and 32GB. It's unfortunately on iOS 15, but it's gold, and I paid $120 for it. As iPod Touch 7s are finally starting to become at least a little bit cheap.
Why are they... I wouldn't think they'd be that valuable.
They probably because they're the last iPod and they just didn't sell that well. But
I suppose there's some people that gotta clear them out, but just who would stock up on those?
I bought it used, so somebody had it, but is now selling it to me. And the last device is an iPad Air 2, but it's not any ordinary iPad Air 2.
So what's so special about this one?
Do you want to guess what's special about this?
If I had to guess, it has something to do with the software on it.
Yep, it is on iOS 10.
I got an iPad Air, not Air. I got an iPad 4 on iOS 10 something.
Probably 10.3.4, but the reason why I'm pretty glad I found an Air 2 on iOS 10 is because it's so freaking, for about the same price as a normal Air 2, mind you, is because it's so freaking hard to find iPads on iOS versions that are not their latest. And downgrades don't often exist for them, or if they do, there's OTA, like with the iPad 2, 3, 4, and Air 1, and Mini 1, Mini 2. And speaking of, I need to downgrade my iPad Air 1, iPad Mini 2 to iOS 10 sometime. But yeah, I just don't really have to figure out how to back up the data on those. But Yeah, my iPad Air 2, which is coming in the mail, it's space gray, by the way, but it's going to be running iOS 10.3 through 10.3.3, and I think it's 3216 or 32 gigabytes, but it's on iOS 10, and I have not heard good things about them on iPadOS 15. So iOS 10, you bet that's going to be a good iPad.
I bet.
Alright, and so now we have one more piece of news to cover on this podcast, which is Alpha's new car. Take it away, Alpha.
Yes. All right. So, oh geez, I did not expect this to happen as fast as it did, but yeah. In case you guys didn't watch my video on the Drive channel, I bought a new car. It's a 2019 Buick LaCrosse Essence, and
It's the hybrid model.
I did not. It is a hybrid. It's not full electric. I really wanted to get the Tesla, but unfortunately, Redbox is just not in good enough condition to carry me to there. So I had to get something to hold me over. But hey, I guess a hybrid is in between. It's not plug-in hybrid, but I'll still take a hybrid.
How does your car's hybrid work?
So, unlike a plug-in hybrid where it's basically two separate systems that are both connected to the set of wheels, for the most part, it's a small battery pack. It's a small high-voltage battery that typically you'll find in the trunk of most vehicles. Sometimes they'll stuff it under the back seat. In my case, it's the trunk. It's a very small high-voltage battery pack, and it is basically used to help the vehicle accelerate up to speed. And actually, I guess depending on how fast you're going, it'll be used every now and then to at least help maintain speed without sucking too much gasoline for the engine. And when you're not using the engine, you're slowing down. The way it recharges itself, because there's no charge port on my car. That's something that I probably should have brought up. That's the biggest difference between mild hybrid and plug-in. Plug-in, that's the difference. You plug it in to charge the battery pack. But for my car, the battery pack is so small that what it's doing to recharge it is when I brake, it is spiking a lot of regen braking. It's recapturing all that electricity and putting it back into the battery pack. So that is how it's charging itself.
And I'm guessing the gas is what puts the power into the car in the first place to do that.
So gas is still the primary. That's where all the sheer power is. The hybrid system is. The hybrid is supposed to help get up to speed, so that way you're not sucking a ton of gas. Because due to the fact that I got a 4-cylinder. It's going to require a lot more energy for that small 4-cylinder to move a big, massive vehicle. I find it so funny. I keep telling everyone how I hate long sedans with Red Fox. And what did I buy when I bought Red Fox? I bought a long sedan. And what did I do when I bought this new car? It's even longer!
My dad actually thinks you have a really... I told my dad that you bought the 2019 Buick LaCrosse, and he thinks you chose very well.
Did he watch the video by any chance?
I don't think so, but I know he won't. But to be fair, he also thinks your Red Fox was a nice car.
Oh, that is the nicest comment that car has ever gotten.
Yeah, my dad probably hasn't seen too many photos of it, so he doesn't know the condition of it. But my dad thinks that Buick Lucernes from 2007 are good cars.
Yeah, actually, I'd say the Buick Lucerne was one of the worst versions of their cars even at the time, because it had such a crappy interior. So many hard plastics everywhere.
Like, even the 2019 Buick LaCrosse has so many plastics to the point where it's not... it's not that luxurious, but again... I'm somebody who.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in between. Yeah, the position that Buick is supposed to be is in between mainstream, but luxury as well. They're supposed to be somewhere in between.
Like Pontiac.
And
like
you can definitely tell just by
the.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you can definitely tell it's nicer than a Chevy Impala, which was a sibling car to the LaCrosse back when GM was making more sedans. It is much nicer in terms of material quality than a Chevy Impala. With the Chevy Impala, you're basically not going to find leather anywhere other than the seats and maybe the steering wheel. But for the most part, it's all soft touch plastics and hard touch plastics. But Cadillac, they'll put leather everywhere, except for the lower areas. That they usually put plastics in the lower areas, but actually for good reason, because that's where everything gets dirty and such, and the leather would not age well in those areas. But the areas that you see and touch in a Cadillac, it's leather everywhere. But obviously that's going to cost a lot. So Buick put the materials in the right places, I think. The one area where I don't think they put the right material was the door sill right by the window. You know how some people like to rest their arms on the window when they roll it down? Yeah, that's a soft touch plastic. But everywhere, and then there's the center display and the air vents. That's also framed by an extremely cheap looking piece of plastic.
Oh yeah, like my.
Yep.
I was in my dad's BMW and 2016 BMW M6 and driving it today, which costs about the same as your Buick, but you can tell that in that car I know I'm comparing a sports car to a family sedan, but you can tell that car was built to perfection because it's leather everywhere. Except for, I think, the door handles. I think that's probably plastic. But everywhere else is leather.
Yeah. Yeah, so other than the windowsills and the material around the center display, oh gosh, that plastic looks so freaking cheap!
It really does. Doesn't look like a...
Like, could you tell on camera?
Yes.
It looks so cheap. But everywhere, they put the materials in areas that they know you're going to touch. And it does feel nice. I'm pretty sure it can trick enough people into actually thinking it is a luxury car.
I think it could, realistically. Yeah, it probably could. But are you glad that you have a better car than all your family members now? Or at least
it is so weird because, my parents have a total of 3 cars at the moment. My dad's, to put it nicely, POS truck that's falling apart. GMC Sierra from 2002.
Oh, it's a GMC.
Yeah. And then the other 2 vehicles, my mom's 2004 GMC Yukon Denali. And
GMC. My dad does not like GMC.
Actually,
FYI.
So does he not like Chevy either? Because Chevy is technically worse than GMC.
He doesn't like GMC because even though they're supposed to be technically better than Chevy, he just thinks that GMCs are just too cheap. They're cheap, and they're just, even their most expensive cars are just a bit too cheap and not that interesting, and just not interesting to the point where they don't do anything for him. So that's why my dad doesn't really like GMC. But he does actually.
Yeah, there's a reason why
he likes at least Chevy's gas cars.
Yeah,
he does not like the Chevy Bolt, though.
Yeah, there's a reason why the Denali models of all of GMC's products sell so well. The Denali models of all their vehicles are basically their most popular product. And those are actually nice stuff. There's a reason why my mom drives a Yukon Denali. And then the other car they have is a 2011 Buick Lucerne, which was the silver car I keep mentioning in all of my videos comparing Red Fox to a silver car.
Oh, I thought that was another.
And so, yeah, I technically have the nicest car. Huh?
I thought your mom's car is an '07.
Nope, hers is 2011.
That's cool. But you still
Mm-hmm.
have a better car than everybody else in your family.
Oh yeah, and
Do
my
you
dad
feel like
hates
how
it
I
so
got?
much.
Your dad hates it?
Well, for one, he's not a fan of electrification, so yeah, he doesn't like the fact that I bought a hybrid. And then there's also the other he used to be an auto mechanic, so he prefers everything to be mechanical and such. And well, you watch my video. Um,
It's not.
watching him do the test drive with my car, trying to watch him put the car into gear, I had to explain to him how the shifter works, and he's like, "Why? I'm just gonna rip this thing out right now or something."
Your dad test drove the car?
He hates it so much. Yeah, he test drove it before we bought it.
Oh.
So, yeah, I have him test drive it to get a feel for the mechanical bits of it, because, again, he used to be an auto mechanic, so he knows this type of stuff.
Yeah, that's one thing that drives my grandmother nuts too, is she doesn't like how modern cars are so complicated that the average person can't work on them anymore.
Yeah.
But
Well, wait till
my
we
grandmother
go
is also
electric.
my grandmother is also not a fan of electrification. So,
Yeah, that's unfortunate, because at least from what I've seen, it really is the way to go. It's just, we gotta wait for this to come down in price, because at the moment, it's exclusive to new vehicles, and most people, I'd argue, do not buy new vehicles.
yeah, whereas we need to change that to make it like even when we were doing a project in school where we had to search up for cars, even my social studies teacher, because we doing it on social studies, even he said never buy a new car.
I can't say never buy a new one, but
Yeah,
because there are benefits to buying new.
There are, like the fact that at least most people like at least like he that is one thing that my parents could certainly learn, is to learn to buy new cars, because new cars just have so many more benefits. Like, you just get an immediately good item that's going to stay good. At least my grandmother understands that aspect of buying a new car.
That, and also I want to stress on the warranty. That's something you typically never get with buying a used car.
Exactly.
So the second something goes wrong, you've got to instantly pay for it right then and there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I forgot to bring this up, but my car, they went through the process before I bought it. They went through the process of checking everything out and had GM certify it to the point where now it was certified pre-owned, which means GM has inspected it and says it's basically like new. Just they put a I also ended up getting a warranty with my car, despite that
That's cool.
it's technically used. It's not a brand new car. It's got about 50,000 miles on it, but due to their whole certification process, I ended up getting 1 year basic warranty and such, and I still have quite an amazing powertrain warranty left on it, I think. So
That's excellent.
yeah, so that is one thing that I do want to stress. Buying new vehicles, you get a warranty on it. So if something does happen to go wrong straight from the factory, because there are some quality control issues every now and then, it at least doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, speaking of quality control issues, I actually ended up having to schedule my first service appointment.
Why?
So I'm having a problem with the new car, but actually, the issue with the car has nothing to do with the car itself. It's the key.
Of course.
Yeah, so what happened was Monday I got in my car to get ready to go to work, and the car kept telling me, key not detected, key not detected. Please place key in, there's a specific spot in the center console where the antennas are to detect the key. So it said, please place the key in this area. And so at that point it finally started the car. And then I went shopping at Dollar Tree after I got out of work, and the car started randomly locking and unlocking and freaking out and such.
Oh.
Despite that, I took the key out of my pocket and no buttons were being pushed and it was still doing it. So, yeah, I have to take the car in to get the key serviced. Nothing's actually wrong with the car. It's all in the key. I took the key back to the dealer the next day to figure out what was going on. I thought it was a battery dying or something on it, but it turns out actually no, it's a transmitter. Something's wrong with the transmitter in the key. Thank goodness we have spares. Yeah. But yeah, thank goodness we have spares, and yeah, so at some point I gotta go back into the dealer and get my key serviced. But, yeah, thank goodness warranties like that exist! Because I'm willing to bet if I bought this used off of someone else, I'd have to pay for a new key right up front.
And that's like $200.
Yeah, those keys are not cheap. Especially considering the proximity sensors needed to activate push-button start and such. So, yeah, there's a good reason to buy new. You get a really nice warranty with it. Other reasons, the newer cars that come out, especially when you buy next generation stuff, they're generally designed to be safer in terms of car crashes. Like, ignore the safety software system gadgetry like forward collision warning, such and such like that. I'm talking about when you actually do get in an accident. They improve the structures so that way you come out of the accident alive more often than you would in an older vehicle. So
exactly.
There's more food
and
for thought.
Speaking of proximity sensors, another feature I want to touch up on iOS and iPadOS 17 was that they detect when they're too close to your eyes.
Oh yeah, that was What the heck is that feature? And that is so ironic because how far are those displays in a Vision Pro from your face?
Yes! Oh, that again shows you how Apple's not fully confident in the Vision Pro.
That is so hypocritical.
That
is so hypocritical.
I know the Vision Pro.
Geez.
I know iPhone and iPad displays don't cause that much damage to eye strain, to eyes, but still, like, that just goes to show you how ironic that is.
Yeah, that is so hypocritical.
Another pro of buying new cars is that you get a reliable car, as my 2014 Mercedes-Benz, back when it was my dad's, he already had to take it into a lot for several days because a repair shop for several days because something was wrong with it. So I'm not too sure if it'll hold me well or not, since it's going to be a 10-year-old car later this year.
Yeah, that's crazy to think.
But hey, you have a nicer car than me technically now.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm a 15-year-old, and I'm probably gonna have better car than most other kids.
Well, hey, you got in terms of brand recognition, you got the cooler branded car, the Mercedes. Meanwhile,
yeah,
I've got a Buick.
At least I have a Mercedes, and at least I can and at least I often have the chance, to drive my dad's M6 too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, but I'm really loving my new car. Despite that, yeah, one of my keys decided to crap out on me. a couple days ago, but I'm loving the new car. I'm loving Apple CarPlay too. This is my first car with Apple CarPlay.
I'll probably mod my Mercedes to have Apple CarPlay.
Yeah, it's so nice to have Apple CarPlay. And actually, just today, I got the OnStar services activated. So I now have a Wi-Fi hotspot in my car for 3 months.
Oh, that's awesome.
Maybe I'll do a live stream on my road trip next month, since I got the hotspot in the car. Nah, I probably won't.
Yeah, that's not a great idea.
I gotta figure out how I'm supposed to record the whole trip. But yeah, I'm so excited because I'm also going to be taking this car on a trip next month.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what my next car will be though. Once I figure out how to get enough money to buy a new car, since it'll probably be a Tesla. But now I'm thinking if Ford is switching the NACS connector, that I might want to get a Ford of some sort.
What type would you be looking at?
Maybe a Mustang.
The Mach-E?
I guess. Because that's what they have. Since my dad is a 1967 Mustang, and I personally like the Ford's design, and one thing I like about Ford is that at least their cars are known for being solid, and at least they have that good classic American car brand recognition.
That, and actually they have some pretty great software integration. Like they actually partnered up with Apple to enhance CarPlay just for their electric vehicle products, because it'll display things like a car battery percentage when you navigate to somewhere like that, integrating chargers in the maps. I think they really partnered up with Apple to get CarPlay much.
I know
more
Teslas are nice too. And it still might get Tesla, but yeah, it's on the that's on the table. But I do not think my next car is going to be another Mercedes, because Mercedes, seriously, a subscription for faster acceleration? No.
Yeah, that is so dumb.
Like, at least it's not at least you don't have to get it, unlike with BMW's heated seat subscription scam.
Yeah, that is so stupid. Why did BMW decide that was a good idea?
Yeah, I'll bet you I know why my dad bought a used M6 instead of a new one.
Yeah.
Well,
because BMW is moving to not some good stuff.
Oh, and BMW and Mercedes are also still using the
aspects.
CCS connector.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. At this point, we only got announcements from the American automakers in terms of switching to NACS. And I have a theory as of why they've done it at this point. And I'm thinking everyone else wants to switch to it, but
their contracts
they have contracts. Yeah, that's my theory. They have contracts with suppliers to use CCS, and they can't switch until those contracts expire. So that might be why Hyundai and Kia. Yeah, but Hyundai and Kia, they produce such a solid package. I was really considering buying an Ioniq 6 until they showed off the charge port. I'm like, sorry, I'm taking my money elsewhere.
Yeah, the CCS port is the CCS charger is just like, that's not cool. I know they could realistically produce both CCS. They could produce both CCS and NACS options, though. Yeah,
they could. Like, one thing that everyone with Rivian, everyone really wants Rivian. I hate seeing all the voting polls where they ask, all right, which brand's going to switch to NACS next? And everyone's saying Rivian. But I don't think they're saying Rivian because everyone thinks they're actually going to do it. We know they want them to switch. We know that they want to switch away from CCS. It's because they actually just want Rivian to switch away from CCS, and it's a message to them saying, "Hey, Rivian, get away from the standard." Because from the looks of it, Rivian is showing no interest of switching to NACS.
Which is a problem, given that they're a dedicated electric car company.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess they do have the argument that they're investing in their own charging network, which, from what I've heard, is currently rock solid. There has not been a station down just yet. They take forever to put online, but so far their Rivian Adventure Network, DC network, ever since they turned it on last year, it hasn't gone down yet. So that's saying something.
That's better than a certain charging station brand that we all know and hate.
Yep. Oh gosh, like, what happened the day that Ford decided to make that announcement to switch to NACS? What happened that day with Electrify America? That was...
I wonder if Ford heard that Electrify America went down, and so they're like, nope, we're going to NACS. We're done.
Well, this happened after Ford made the announcement, but yeah, just...
No.
Yeah, if the past 5 years of EA sucking hasn't been a big enough hint that we should not be relying on this charging network, how about what happened Memorial Day weekend? Is that good enough for you? Does it take an entire app screw-up shutting down half of the nation's chargers? And... yeah, just... what the heck? And there are some people that are still insistent on Electrify America is going to make it. I'm sorry.
They're not.
This is the definition of insanity right here. They've
like
done nothing different.
This is like Windows ME insanity.
They're using Windows to power their stations.
Like, oh my god. Maybe that's why it's... maybe we shouldn't be blaming Electrify America for it. Maybe we should...
well, it explains their software problems, but, like, they still even have bad hardware issues. Like, BTCs, the chargers are still delivering too much power to vehicles.
But maybe we should...
Signet! The Signet surge is still in effect!
I know that technically EVs deliver too much, are programmed to deliver too much power, but again... that's all caused by software on Microsoft. That could be caused by Microsoft's end. So maybe we shouldn't be blaming EA for the... EA fully, even though they should be moving away from Windows. But maybe the true culprit to this whole Electrify America issue is Microsoft. Maybe it's all Microsoft's
I've gotten so
fault.
annoyed with covering this brand because... at this point, we should just forget about it. Electrify America is not incentivized to make reliable hardware.
It's like the iPhone.
All they're incentivized to do is just put in new chargers in the ground. It doesn't matter if they're online or not. They just got to continue putting in new chargers in the ground.
It's like the iPhone XS, how we should just forget about it because it's too unreliable. Or at least what Tabby says about it.
Yeah, that's what he says about that. I beg to differ. This phone's still going rock solid, and I love it.
Maybe I should get a XS Max sometime,
But-
just to settle the debate between you two, and switch to.
I'm
a
surprised you
phone.
haven't at this point.
I only haven't just because of money. Like the
But-
XS Max still costs quite a lot.
Yeah, I hate seeing... I've signed up for the weekly Rate Your Charge emails to get a report on what's happened in the charging industry. To no one's surprise, Tesla's always top. They're always king. Makes sense. They're Tesla. They put more cares and effort into their charging hardware than anybody else. And EA is typically always at the bottom. I don't recall a single week where they've managed to hit second place.
Why? Is it because of the saw? Is it because they're delivering too much power into their cars and because they're using Windows to power their systems?
Well, also they've been having a lot of hardware issues too, so it's not just software. There's actual hardware breaking inside the chargers. Like the older Signet units, those are actually blowing up due to hardware failure, which I am still surprised that they're putting in some old Signet units. Just what? There is so much wrong with this brand. Like, I'm so excited because I'm not excited for everyone switching to the Tesla Supercharger network. I'm excited for them gaining access, but I'm not excited in the aspect that Tesla is literally the only reliable option aside from ChargePoint, but their maintenance sucks when they do go down. And I'm excited for now finally Tesla's going to get competition because, and I mean real competition, because the EA competition, the EVgo competition, they're a joke. They're an absolute joke in terms of reliability. Because they're buying hardware from BTC and their units are not stellar. Neither are Signets. Apparently they keep failing left and right. ABB, the second summer comes around, they shut down because they melt. FSX, oh, we got rid of them a long time ago for a specific reason.
Why did you get rid of FSX?
And they were so bad. They were riddled with hardware problems, even in Europe. So, yeah, FSX, nobody's buying FSX hardware anymore. They are so bad. Yeah, it's like buying a Pixel 3 or a Microsoft Surface Duo. It's that bad.
Ooh.
Yeah, their hardware just straight up does not work. So, yeah, they got rid of FSX a long time ago. So, yeah, the EVgo network, the Electrify America network, that's not real competition. We're finally getting ChemPower, Alpitronic, Tritium's higher power units, because for too many years we've been stuck with Tritium's stupid little dinky 50 kilowatt stations, which, okay, they're great at restaurants, but they're not great when you're on road trips. So finally, we're getting some big boy, reliable, proven competition for Tesla. And they're all switching to NACS.
I guess it's time to switch to NACS, everybody. But do you have any other topics you want to talk about on this podcast episode before we close it out?
A couple interesting complaints that I think you might agree with that I've learned about with my car. Quick question: which side of the vehicle should, and it doesn't matter, gas port, charge port, where do you think it should be located?
I honestly don't care. It doesn't really matter.
I'd say driver rear. Actually, I think it does. Because it's more of a convenience standpoint, but I do think charge port or gas port location does matter, because I drove I drove my car off the lot about a week ago, and I had to go to the gas station. Problem is, the gas port's on the passenger side of the vehicle and not the driver's side. So when I pulled up to the gas pump, I was like 25 feet away from the pump because I had yet to figure out where the right side of my vehicle was.
Yeah, on most of the cars that we've had in my family, including my dad's BMW M6 and I think my Mercedes, they're all traditionally on the passenger side, which again would make sense given that BMW and Mercedes are headquartered in Germany, where where they drive on the right side. So that makes sense. So I'm not
Wrong.
So it doesn't bother me quite.
Wrong. That's not right at all. Europe,
Just
in
pull
Britain,
around the wrong side.
the UK, It's in the UK. The UK is who drives in the left lanes, and the steering wheel's on the right side of the car. The rest of mainland Europe, they're all left-hand drive.
Well, just
like us.
Wait a minute, isn't the rest of Europe, don't they still drive on the, isn't the driver's seat to the right of the side, though? Like where the passenger usually is in the U.S.? Well...
Nope, just in the UK.
Oh. Well, that still doesn't bother me a whole lot that they're on the passenger side, because the gas things are on the passenger side, because I just pull around on the other side, and I'm used to it on most of my family's cars, so it doesn't bother me.
I still think it should be on the driver's side, because that's the side the driver's on. Why do you have to walk around to the other side of the car?
It's good exercise.
And if you're driving... and if you're driving it for the first time, then you got to worry about where the right side of the vehicle is. When you drive it for the first time, you got to figure it out. It's not, the right side of the vehicle is here. Not every vehicle is the same width, and this car is actually wider than my last car. So, yeah, it did not help. So I ended up parking like 25 feet away from the pump.
Well, that actually does make some more sense to be in the driver's side.
Yeah. And then the other thing, turn signals and brake lights.
Oh my gosh, yes. They should be separate. I totally agree with that.
Not only that, but did you watch Technology Connection's video on how his Hyundai manages braking?
Yep, I watch his YouTube videos all the time.
That's dangerous!
I wonder if he watched his videos once he explained the tech. I wonder back in November if he watched his videos because of how you're explaining the North American charging network. But yeah.
That was... I mean, I understand some of his reasoning behind his stuff, but overall, it's just, I'm sorry, dude. His reasoning is he thinks that the way Tesla's doing it and it's proprietary, it means they have a monopoly on stuff and it's their only seller. There's no competition. That's his biggest fear with switching to NACS. And that's why he keeps promoting J1772 and CCS. Despite that, even he himself admitted, these are terrible standards. We should not be using them. We should really be using Tesla's thing. Well, actually, he didn't go to that extent because he says it's fine, but he still admits in terms of design and mechanical design and aesthetics and usage and such, NACS is actually the better connector to be using. But despite that, Tesla designed a better standard, and he keeps arguing it's not a standard. Sorry, yes it is.
Yes, it is. Oh. Tesla isn't. So you're telling me that the EU forcing USB-C on everything isn't forcing Apple to switch to USB-C isn't a monopoly on everything, and you're telling me that you're telling me that Windows basically being the only other option for if you're not on a Mac, you're telling me that's not being a monopoly, even though that's not a monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Apple.
Yeah, so
in that case isn't holding a monopoly, since Apple's the only reliable system that's not Chrome OS, which basically does nothing.
Yeah.
Except
that's my biggest problem. He's so focused on monopolistic and consumer-like markets that he'd rather promote a fundamentally flawed charging standard. And it was so hard for me to hear him get snarky about this. I'm like, dude, you're making yourself look so stupid. I'm sorry.
I personally agree with most of his stuff, but again, I generally I generally don't watch his EV content, and I generally am more focused towards his videos like on other types of things like smoke alarms. Did you see that video?
I have not actually.
It's a very good video. You should watch that. It's a very good. Or in his other videos, like on the antique microwave that's better than yours, and the toaster.
I watched the coffee maker. I watched the coffee pot video.
Oh, so did I.
As well.
That's.
Yeah, I found it rather interesting.
The electric kettle.
Despite that, I don't care about coffee. Yeah.
The electric kettle video.
I saw that too.
And the home electrification. Like, even he's a fan of home electrification, which just goes to shit. Like, he has logical reasoning for all of this stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, the one thing that I just cannot agree with them is we have to use J1772 and CCS. No, we do not. There is no reason why we should.
There's only one opinion of technology connections that I don't agree with, which is, again, he did state this 3 years ago, so it might be more outdated now, but so he's a Windows user, right? And he stated when comparing being a Windows user to being a Linux user that I like to do work on my computer, not work on my computer, but Windows isn't much better than Linux. And I know he's used macOS before, since I know he has Macs.
Oh my gosh!
So, and yet he said that he likes to use. He was using Windows 10 at that time, mind you. He's an Android user, and I can understand. Okay, Android's that's not an unstable operating system. That's actually a good operating system.
Yeah, Android is actually, out of all of the operating systems that is not developed by Apple, Android has to be the best.
I agree, but Windows, he likes making fun of Linux users for working on their computers, which I understand because Linux is pretty terrible. But then he says he does work on his computer with Windows. Okay. I don't think he understands.
I had to do work on my I had to work on my computer today at work because, guess what? SolidWorks decided, nope, we're not going to function because guess what was pending again?
Updates! They're expecting... Windows.
And guess what refused to install just like they should? The updates! So I could basically do almost no work on my computer! Gosh, why is this terrible?
Why can't SolidWorks come
I hate Windows so much!
SolidWorks should realize that Windows is such a terrible operating system.
Yeah.
And even more game
Come on, Dassault Systems, get your act together.
A lot of developers that make Windows exclusive apps should realize that Windows is terrible and should just stop developing for Windows and go Mac exclusive. So that way more people would buy Macs.
I would. Yes.
Well, I am already a Mac
despite that, everyone's going to say, well, then Apple's going to get more dominant and then the competition's not going to work as well. I'm sorry, I'd rather use a better standard. Here's the reason why the iPhone's so popular. It's literally the best standard out there. It is the best option for a smartphone out there. That's why it's popular. It's something that works. It's something that you don't tinker on. And that is the option that people will mostly choose. They don't want to have to work on... They don't want to work on this stuff. They don't want to focus their time on fixing problems because their thing just can't work. That's why people buy the iPhone. That's why people buy Macs.
This is another thing.
That's why a lot of people are switching to electric too.
This is exactly why don't people just buy more people to switch to macOS? Even my dad, even my dad doesn't use his MacBook Air because it's a 13-inch. So again, the 15-inch MacBook Air could fix that though. So as a result, he still uses his ThinkPad because even though it's on Windows 11, which gives him a lot of problems. Because
another comparison. Why do people still buy Why do Teslas continue to outsell every other electric car? There's still a greater than 2-to-1 ratio. Why is that? Because they are literally the best option. There's no hassle with charging. Why do people still go back to Tesla when it comes to talking about charging networks? It's because they're the best option. So that's why they keep promoting these already popular stuff. It is literally the best option. I don't know how I could recommend something worse to people. Like, why would I recommend anyone go to Electrify America? Why would I recommend anyone go to ChargePoint?
I don't know.
I can't. I just can't. I can't tell people to buy something worse. So it's either, if you want me to promote your stuff, you've got to get your act together and actually make it decent, or I'm just going to continue steering people to the same popular option all the time. It's not my fault that they've made the best product. It's theirs. Blame them.
Exactly.
Don't blame me.
Which is luckily more, and that's what when Microsoft is facing now is more and more people are switching to macOS. Like my mom is now a Mac user. Even my grandmother is thinking even my grandmother might buy get an M2 Mac Mini on her as her next computer. My dad's
And your dad's already using Mac too.
No, he's not using Mac. He has a Mac, but he doesn't use it.
Oh, what?
Yeah, he has an M1 MacBook Air, but a late 2020 MacBook Air, but he doesn't use it. He uses
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't understand much. My dad says he needs to learn macOS, and that he can't work as efficiently on macOS. I'm like, I don't understand this. Like, it's so easy to learn macOS. Like even Windows 11 is different enough. Like, just switch to macOS full time.
It took my grandpa so long to figure out where they relocated Task Manager. In Windows 11, they had relocated it compared to standard Windows 10. You now had to right-click the Start menu button to get the Task Manager option to show up. Now, they actually finally fixed that with an update. You can now click anywhere on the taskbar. But for the longest time, nobody could find it.
Like Microsoft is just screwing people over with Windows. To the point where even when Tabby got irritated with Apple, he had to switch back to macOS because Windows kept failing him.
They suck. So much. I can't tell people to buy something that sucks. I want to recommend the hardware. Like, I want to recommend the Dell XPS to people because I think it is a good laptop. Problem is, I can't due to what's running on it. I want to recommend so many electric cars to other people, and unfortunately, all I can recommend is Tesla, Ford, GM, and soon to be Aptera whenever they get their thing out. I can't recommend anything else because of a charge port. I can't tell people to buy something that's bad. So
Exactly, that's
I want to, but they gotta fix their fundamental issues.
And this is where one that Tabby would really like to be in here for this. But do you watch Hugh Jeffries by any chance? Or at least know what his channel is?
No.
So he's this tech repair.
I know what his channel is, but I don't watch him.
Oh, that's good. Alright, so he constantly whines about how iPhones are unrepairable, which first of all is not true. He just constantly whines about Apple.
They're actually more repairable than most phones out there.
Competition. But doesn't he? But even though they are more repairable than the competition, just making his channel bogus in the first place, doesn't he even and the fact that he used to be an avid Apple collector just like me, but now he's not so much. But doesn't he realize that if something works in the first place, that you don't need to repair it?
Very good point. Very good point. So true. If it works, then you don't have to worry about fixing it all the time.
Alright. Well, as always, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the iTunes Family Podcast. We hope you will all be back here next week, when unfortunately Tabby will still not be here next week, but it will be me, Alpha, and Jordan Riddles from the iPhone Fan, who will be a returning third-time guest. And so we all hope you are stoked for the next episode.
Let's hope that we don't get an unexpected visitor.
But yeah, as always, thank you all for tuning in to another episode. As always, I am Teddy Maggart from the iTunes Fanboy.
My name is Alpha T. Wolf from the Random Alpha.
And as always, we are saying goodbye for now. If I remember to finally, which I'll put in the notes, maybe there will finally be outro videos this time.
Perhaps, yes. You really need to work on that, actually.
Put them in. So as always, goodbye for now. We'll peace out. We'll see you in the next episode.
See ya.